Hello and welcome to the final episode of VVVVVV. V to the 6 episodes. Could not have planned it better, or really all the credit for that goes to the game designer for the length of the game. But, in any case, yeah, this will be the last part. And also, by far, and I mean by far, by like a factor of 10, this is the hardest level in the game. The amount of creative editing I had to do here in order to make this even close to watchable is, on par with what I had to do for some of the Meat Boy stuff. But again, fantastic game that comes highly recommended. So, on the last episode, we rescued Viridian, the last character, the last crew member, and after that happened, if you remember, we got stuck in, some kind of outer realm, some kind of other dimension, as the crew waited for us to come back. Unfortunately, we never arrived. So here we are, in that dimension of just kind of bad V-hold reception on your TV. And the gimmick of this level is that it integrates all of the gimmicks from previous levels. I'm lucky I got the checkpoint before I died there, but everything else is just an exercise in frustration in this level for me. I do not have the necessary cognitive skills to get past these obstacles on like my first dozen tries. But yes, they integrate the puzzle elements from the other levels. So if you remember correctly, there were the inversion planes that flip you around. You can obviously see those, and we also have the Pac-Man style screen, where I can go out the top and come out the bottom, vice versa, or go out the right, come out the left, although I can't do that on this one. And you are beginning to see why this game is renowned for its difficulty in some circles, as I finally progress past that. Hopefully that'll be the most tedious that any of these rooms get, but we'll see. So yeah, the fact that they've integrated these puzzles makes a lot of them a good degree more difficult, like an exponential degree of difficulty compared to the levels before it. But again, never really frustrating. If you saw my review of the game, you know, although it is difficult, it is, well, A, not as difficult as Super Meat Boy, so, you know, keep that in mind. And B, never really frustrating. Captain Viridian controls really well, so every death is your fault. A couple of people have mentioned that he slides a little bit. I think that's just conservation of momentum. I think Terry Kavanagh did a good job with that. This is one of the more devilish puzzles in the game, I think. Just trying to figure out how to get into this helix here and come out the other side safely. And actually, this has been edited. I probably spent 5 minutes just trying to get past this screen, and now you're just, you know, kind of seeing the flashes of brilliance as I figure out the riddle of the Sphinx. And I see you can't dilly-daddle once you're inside of it either, because you go a little bit faster, so you're gonna hit the bottom of it and die. And of course, there's no checkpoint before they hit you with this one right away. So naturally, you want to make sure you're pretty prepared before you make that leap into the inversion plane. And honestly, probably more than anything else, I just got lucky there. So, in terms of the number of rooms or screens that there are on this level, it's actually not that many. Probably less than some of the members, or sorry, some of the levels where you get crew members. But the fact that each one is extremely challenging, and you'll be very unlikely to pass many, if any, on your first try. This level is significantly longer than any of the crew member levels, for my money anyway. And absolutely, the most deaths I have come from this level. I think, since the game only counts most deaths per screen, or most deaths per room, the tower will probably be my most deadly room, because, you know, that whole level is one room, one constantly scrolling room. But, this level in general definitely causes me more anguish. The puzzles, like, aren't conceptually bad, but actually putting that concept into practice can sometimes be a bit of a challenge. So now we're going to destable the dimensional stability generator, and it warns us to not be totally retarded and do this, but anyway. Yeah, so we've destabilized the dimension, which, if you have been following the story a little bit more closely than I have, apparently, you should understand that this is going to help our friends get back home. But what does it mean for Viridian himself? Who knows? And again, that beautiful song kicks on in the background again. highly recommended the soundtrack in an earlier video, and I stand by that completely. Now, if I can only get past this room. Oh, wow. Speak of the devil. Alright, so now we're going to go up against these totally garbled pixels here. This is another one of the rooms that really causes me a lot of anguish. Because the conveyor belt is pulling you backwards constantly, it's really hard to get through there without getting hit. You kind of have to drop back a little bit. Let's see if I can demonstrate that more effectively. It's like, this puzzle comes up all the time in Mega Man, but in Mega Man, if you get hit once, it's not a big deal. In V to the 6, you get hit once, you're going down. So yeah, that becomes a serious problem. Now this section I've left in completely unedited, just so you can kind of witness part of my frustration as I just throw myself time after time onto these spikes. Just completely not caring about my well-being or safety at all. So again, you can probably tell the two-headed problem here is, one, you don't get a lot of time to jump, you don't get a lot of clearance on your jump because of the inversion plane directly above you, or directly below you, as it is right now. And the other thing is that there's not a lot of space that you can safely stand on. Almost all of it is spikes. And actually, the end of the level is probably the hardest part for me. Just getting past that last set of downward-pointing spikes is a pain in the ass for me for whatever reason, as you can probably witness. And now, I'm getting a little bit angry, most likely, and I'm just basically throwing myself to my death again and again. It's got that kind of, like, Meat Boy frustration curve, where once you get frustrated, you get a lot worse at the levels, and then eventually something just sort of clicks and you get by it, like I did right there. So we're dealing with the Gravitron here again, but by this point in the game, you're a little bit used to this puzzle, so hopefully you can navigate it as easily as I just did. Yeah, only like 3 or 4 deaths, so it was pretty easy. So, this is another puzzle that's actually a little bit tricky, because it requires actually a fair bit of patience, and again, through the powers of editing, I can show you my successful run and none of my failures. No editing here though, I actually did complete a room on my first try, believe it or not. So now we enter the section of the levels that is basically like the tower level, just reversed, so in the opposite direction. And we will see one more of those type of levels before the end of the game. This, I actually really like the way they've set up this jumping puzzle here. I think it's difficult, but not counterintuitive, let's put it that way. Or not, I don't know. I just like it. I just like it, okay? Isn't that enough for you people? And coming up is a puzzle I do not like, and one that caused me by far the most trouble in this game. This one right here. I must have tried this. Well, there was a solid 6 minutes of video of me just trying to get past this one spot, and for a while I thought maybe it was actually impossible. But no, all you have to do is do that absolutely perfectly, and yeah, you can get through it no problem. I can't imagine why I had trouble with that in the first place. It's so easy. So we are basically at the end here, as long as we can just navigate this successfully. And I actually really like this part. It seems like a really weird comparison to make, but it reminds me kind of like the end of the Maw in the original Halo, where you're just kind of like, when you get to the end of the level, you're just running and it feels so epic. And then you finally get to the end. And you can see we are floating aimlessly through outer space. A game complete. What a nasty ending for Captain Viridian. You can see my pitiful stats there. 513 deaths. 137 deaths of which came on the tower alone. Well, I guarantee about 300 of those came from the final level there. But of course, they can't let Captain Viridian die out in space, so they tie it up with a nice little, you know, Chekhov's gun kind of explanation here. And again, another great song that has not appeared yet in the game. So yeah, the fact that we turned off the dimension stabilizer was the source of the interference, allows them to actually see us in space and teleport us back on board. And then they go through this little section right here where they basically tell you, we can explore the dimension for a little bit longer, but we should get out of here as soon as possible, because it could destabilize at any moment and kill us. And can you imagine being the crew members like, yeah, sure, Captain, you can stick around for 20 minutes and try to find all these trinkets, but we're gonna get the fuck out of here, because our whole universe is going to rip apart at the seams. Alright, and as usual, I will let the credits play relatively uninterrupted. Just thank you to everyone for watching this Let's Play of V to the 6. Thank you again to Akatsuki Artists for gifting this to me on Steam. I had an awful lot of fun with this game, and I hope if you had not heard of it or you were a little bit on the fence, I hope I've encouraged you to pick it up, because it is truly fantastic. And I guess the last thank you, thanks to Terry Kavanagh for creating such an amazing game. I can't wait to see what he comes out with next. Alright guys, again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next Let's Play. Later.